Hello and welcome. It's Michael Scholar here, Solutions Director at Trapeze, and this recording is going to focus on using the mobile focus solution and how a service request can be raised by an operator and created in the EAM/CMMS system, triage through to the Indeco user and converted to a work order for corrective action. So first we start looking at the mobile focus solution, which we already have open here in this floating window. And we log on as a vehicle operator. Vehicle operators have a very restricted view in terms of what they're actually doing within the mobile focus device. So we see service requests as an option and also test results as an option. One point to note is that because I'm running the mobile focus in Windows, it actually scales to the size of my display, although if you were running it on a traditional mobile phone, it'll scale accordingly to the screen size and real estate available for that device. Okay, so just one point to note. So for an operator to create a service request, we select the service request icon. We're brought up with a list of pre-existing service requests that may already be triaged, and we can filter on those to view what status they're in. Although what we want to do is click on the new button, at which point we have the option to select the equipment, which is the actual vehicle. So we select a utility vehicle, for example. And by selecting that vehicle, instantly the screen is updated to only display the relevant fields required. So that's very important. Also, you'll notice that there's an information button. So at any time you want to view additional information to ensure you have selected the correct vehicle, you can click that and view more information with regards to the vehicle specifics. The other mandatory requirement is selecting the type of symptom that the service request relates to. So for the initial deployment of the proof of concept, we have two symptoms that have been pre-configured. One is identifying that there is a defect with the vehicle, although the vehicle is safe to drive. The other determines that there is a defect with the vehicle and it is unsafe to drive. Based on what we select, we can have built-in workflows to create alerts, alarms, and send email notifications depending on the criticality of the symptom. In this case, we select vehicle is safe to drive. And then we have the option of entering in the description of the symptom. So we can say, the battery's flat, not starting, or tire is low on air. So if the battery is flat and it's not starting, obviously the vehicle cannot move, although if a tire is low on air, it still can be driven to a repair location. Once we've entered in the description, we select save. And that service request now will be triaged, and you would have seen the number 1 appear. Now it's dropped off. Once the service request has been submitted by the operator, as an Indeco vehicle maintainer, we now have the ability to open up our web console and log in as Indeco. Okay. And instantly we're navigated to our home screen. So if you have reviewed and attended the training sessions on the navigation, what the various portlets mean, that's great. And at a high level, it's very informative in terms of the data that's being output into these portals. Now, when service requests are raised, they are triaged and end up in this specific area here. Okay, so we see service requests, and at the top we can see that we have the ability to put in a service request summary, and we have predefined filters telling us, hey, there's 3 service requests where the vehicle is safe to drive and 1 where the vehicle is unsafe to drive. And that gives us the ability to act quickly on high priority items by selecting that record or navigating into these 3 records specifically. Okay. Then we also have the vehicles where the date is created on the side here. Okay. So we can see that there is a service request that we have just created today, which is appearing in this list right here. Okay. So what we can do is we can click on the service request we've just created on the mobile device. So as the vehicle maintainer, we have the ability to capture as much additional information as required. And this information may be derived from calling the operator that reported the service request. If the vehicle is dropped off, it may involve you, the maintainer, capturing additional information here as well. Okay. So we have a whole bunch of basic information that can be created. So we can allocate this job out to an operator. In this case, we know that the operator is Indeco. Oh, that's the vehicle operator, apologies. The operator is CAG. Okay. And now we can enter in additional notes, priorities, and capture more information as required. And we select new work order. Okay. And now we're brought to the work order screen. So one important thing to remember is that there are particular fields that are mandatory and non-mandatory, and instantly when you are looking at a screen like this, the fields that are mandatory are instantly highlighted. So what we want to do is we want to select a repair reason. So we know that there's corrective repairs required, the type of class. Okay, so it is corrective, non-comprehensive, and it's important to note that these classes can be further defined to meet Indeco's specific requirements as well, and CAG specific requirements. So they're not prescriptive, they can be altered. And in addition, we specify the service status. So is the vehicle ready for pickup or collection, if it's available or if it's out of service. Okay. Once we've populated the mandatory fields, we can go ahead and click on save. And it's important to note that we can see that if there's any existing service requests, they appear at the bottom, and this is the service request that has been created. Okay, and now we select continue. What we've effectively done is we've looked at a service request that has been raised. We've converted that service request into a work order and captured some 4 key fields, including the operator and the nature of the work that is to be carried out. So now we actually have a work order, a job that's available in the system. Although the thing to remember is it's actually not assigned as yet. And this is the final step in the work order creation process. Unless the job is assigned to somebody, it actually won't appear on their workplace, their mobile device portal as well. So it's a very important step. And one thing to keep in mind is that when we are using these portals and workflows, that they're fairly intuitive in terms of their click-through capabilities. So we can see that the final step assignments, just like the other fields that were defined as mandatory, it's highlighted as yellow at the bottom. So we select assignments, clicked on the assignment button, we're brought to the work order assignment detail screen. And again, there is a lot of information being displayed in this screen. Although one important thing to note in that for the assignment to work, we're only required to access one specific area. We can look into contracting and hiding and renaming fields that are available. Although in this case, we are quickly going to the employee and we are selecting Indeco, and we want to assign Indeco to the work order. Okay, and that has happened. We can see now Indeco is assigned to this work order. Okay. Additional information relating to the work order details can be captured. For example, if there's a specific bay where the vehicle is located, its priority, the vehicle's contact name and shift scheduled as well. So now if we go back into our work management portal, we'll see that there are 5 jobs that are open, and one of those jobs was just created through a service request, and that's available at the bottom there. So now what we have the ability to do is logging in as an Indeco workshop engineer. We will have different access rights on the mobile device application. So now what we actually have the ability to do is look at our work orders, and they can be viewed on a time, date, running schedule if a time and date is allocated to them. Or we can take a look at what's currently open in our list. Okay. So what we want to do is ensure we have the current data set of work orders that are available to us. And we do that just by clicking that download button. And you would have seen that list update fairly quickly. And that new work order that has been created now also appears here. Okay, so we can see that that asset GBF 7943C is actually this asset right here. And we can see that the work order ID matches this work order ID. So now when we click on that work order, we can instantly see this as an engineer that's in the workshop, we can see that it's come from a service request and that the tire is low on air. So at this point, we can make the corrective actions required to that vehicle. We can capture additional information relating to what actions were performed to that vehicle as well. Depending on the level of granularity we actually do want to go to, we also have the ability to add in predefined tasks based on the type of checks and work that we are doing. Okay, so if we're doing repairs on tires, this is an optional step. It's not mandatory. Although what this enables us to do is track time on jobs. And you can see here that once we click the play button, we can start working on the specific corrective actions needed. Now, the service request states that the tire is low on air, although the corrective action may not be to refill the tire as it's punctured, and the engineer is required to plug the hole using a rubber plug. So information relating to that can be recorded. And you can see that the time has ticked over now. So once the engineer has finished that specific job, they can stop the work and close the job out completely. Oh, we have to complete the task, of course. And once that has been completed, we then can close the job out. So with tasks, the specific information relating to the work that's actually being carried out can be captured. So it has been complete and no parts were required, and then we can save this. And it has been updated successfully, and we can see here that the total time has been updated as well. And we can see that there's a big tick there, meaning that it is completed. So now we definitely can go ahead and close off that work order. Are you sure you want to finish this work order? And that's now completed. And it's dropped off the list. Okay, so that's a quick overview of how an operator logging in to Mobile Focus would raise a service request using the service request functionality. Once that service request has been created, it will appear in the Indeco Administrator Work Management Portal for triaging. Once the Indeco System Administrator picks up that service request, it's converted to a work order and assigned to an engineer for a corrective action. That engineer then has the ability to access information out in the field using the Mobile Focus solution and the work order icon, where they can capture labor, time, parts, or at a simplistic level, just some key data relating to the work that's being performed and close that job off. It's important to remember that in performing this process, what we're actually doing is creating a historical account of activities that have occurred for that specific asset. So we're merging data that is currently in an manual or paper-based into a digitized solution and unifying all the data elements, unifying the service request information, how many service requests are being reported to the vehicle maintainer for corrective action, through to what corrective action was undertaken to perform repairs on the vehicle and what steps were taken, thus enabling a more comprehensive snapshot of how assets are being operated, maintained, and their overall downtime and performance back to CAG Group. I hope the video was informative, and I will endeavour to make more to come. Thanks.